Look, I gotta say, this is a tough interview, but I think she's doing really well. It's Brett Baer's doing a good job, and so is she. This tough type of interview is going to be great for her. She's holding her own.
Oh my word. Did anybody else watch the Brett Baer interview with Kamala Harris? That was the purest form of journalism I may have witnessed, quite possibly, in my entire life. That was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. He held her feet to the fire on a lot of the big issues. He didn't let her get away with her canned responses or not answering the question at all. He reminded her of what she had said in the past, what her positions were in the past. I hate to use the word bamboozled, but there's no way that anyone that's not blinded by hatred of Donald Trump could possibly vote for this woman if they saw this interview. There's no way. They either hate America or they hate Trump. Or both.
Exhausted of Brett.
More than 70% of people tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track, that track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that over the last decade,
but
people
you're the
have
lever
become.
Of power.
But listen, over the last decade, it is clear to me, and certainly the Republicans who are on stage with me.
Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's your man Wise, and wow, Kamala bombed yet again. I'm talking about one of the most epic interview meltdowns I've ever witnessed. This interview was all over the place, and it was like watching someone trying to talk their way out of a speeding ticket. And of course, the liberal mainstream media is doing their best to cover for her, pretending that this wasn't a complete disaster.
How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration, because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have. And you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but
right now,
just a number. Do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
Brett, let's just get to the point. Okay, the point is that we have a broken immigration system that needs to be repaired.
So your Homeland Security Secretary said that 85% of apprehensions.
I'm not finished. We have
it's a rough estimate of 6 million people have been released into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get to the question. I promise you.
I was beginning to answer.
And when you came into office, your administration immediately reversed a number of Trump border policies. Most significantly, the policy that required illegal immigrants to be detained through deportation, either in the U.S. or in Mexico. And you switched that policy. They were released from custody awaiting trial. So instead, included in those were a large number of single men, adult men, who went on to commit heinous crimes. So looking back, do you regret the decision to terminate Remain in Mexico at the beginning of your administration?
At the beginning of our administration, within practically hours of taking the oath, the first bill that we offered Congress, before we worked on infrastructure, before the Inflation Reduction Act, before the Chips and Science Act, before the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the first bill, practically within hours of taking the oath, was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Yes, ma'am. It was called the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021.
Exactly.
It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the...
Yes, ma'am. May I finish responding, please? But you have to let me finish,
You
please.
had the White House and the House and the Senate, and they didn't bring up that bill.
I'm in the middle of responding to the point you're raising,
okay,
and I'd like to finish.
Yes, ma'am.
We recognized from day one that, to the point of this being your first question, it is a priority for us as a nation and for the American people. And our focus has been on fixing a problem. And from day one, then, we have done a number of things.
Bret Baier wasn't asking tough questions. These were basic questions any politician should answer and she should have expected. Like how many illegal immigrants have crossed the border, or if Kamala regrets extending or ending the Remain in Mexico policy. Instead of owning up, she dodged and blamed Trump and the GOP, even though the border crisis exploded under the Biden-Harris administration.
That's the early days. So do you owe them an apology is what I'm saying.
I will tell you that I am so sorry for her loss. I am so sorry for her loss. Sincerely. But let's talk about what is happening right now with an individual who does not want to participate in solutions. Let's talk about that as well.
But do you want to answer
in
her?
all fairness, I told you, I feel awful for what she and her family have experienced.
She won't cut it, Kamala. It's not just a few, it's thousands of people affected by these open border policies you and Biden pushed. All she had to do was admit mistakes, say what they've learned, and how they plan on fixing it. Instead, she just played the blame game, pointing fingers everywhere, but at herself and Biden. That's what infuriates so many people. The lack of accountability.
He's
He
unstable.
is unstable.
He is unstable, Brett.
He's not well. You say he's mentally not stable?
He's not stable.
Let me ask you this. You told many interviewers that Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared diminished?
Joe Biden, I have watched from the Oval Office to the Situation Room, and he has the judgment and the experience to do exactly what he has done in making very important decisions on behalf of the American people.
There were no concerns raised?
Brett, Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
I understand.
And
but
Donald Trump
But
is.
you talked about it.
And Donald Trump
After George Clooney said within a few minutes of talking to President Biden at a fundraiser that he thought this was not the same Joe Biden that we saw on the debate stage.
Donald Trump is on the ballot.
I understand. You met with him at least once a week for 3.5 years. You didn't have any concerns?
I think the American people have a concern about Donald Trump, which is why the people who know him best, including leaders of our national security community, have all spoken out. Even people who worked for him in the Oval Office, worked with him in the Situation Room, and have said he is unfit and dangerous and should never be president of the United States again, including his former vice president, which is why the job was open for him to choose another running mate. So that is a fact. That is a fact.
Kamala defaulted to blaming Trump once again, missing a chance to address Biden's decline. Bret should have pressed her on how she can judge Trump's fitness while ignoring Biden's. And let's keep it real. She saw it, just like we all did, the media spinning her dodge as strategic brilliance, but that's a stretch, to say the least.
You have someone like the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying what Mark Milley has said about Donald Trump being a threat to the United States of America.
An emphatic warning there. That's brand new sound. We're airing that for the first time here on MSNBC moments ago in her first ever interview on Fox News. Sunny Hostin is here. What was striking in that moment is that she didn't just take the selected clip or sound that for whatever reason they chose.
Misinformation.
Right. That sort of was a dodge to it, but reframed it back to what she says are very serious threats to abuse power. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, she was factual. And I'm actually surprised that they would play that clip.
I'm surprised anyone still listens to Sunny Hostin. Kamala barely answered anything and just blamed Trump. Classic TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. 4 years out of office, and they still can't let it go. Kamala crashed and burned in that interview. But let's see how Sunny tries to spin this one.
I watched the entire interview in the green room. I had the pleasure of doing that. And what I saw is someone who loves this country, who is competent, who is fit to be the president of the United States, who is in complete command of the facts and understands the stakes and what that our democracy truly is at stake.
You've interviewed her recently.
Yes, I have.
I should mention, we're going to play this in a moment. Part of your interview was played within the Bret Baier interview
Yes,
to
it was.
Kamala Harris. We'll get you on that. Very interesting. I was saying about Bob Woodward earlier tonight, we don't plan these things. Sometimes they
Yes,
just happen.
they happen.
Has she ever had an interview like this?
People are saying that she went on Fox News. It's the first time that she has gone on Fox News, that she, went into the belly of the beast and she went into enemy territory. I think that she did that because there are a group of people that have been fed over and over again misinformation and disinformation on Fox News. I mean, you have a judge saying that it's entertainment and not facts and not news. And so I think it's important that she did that so that to help those people make a decision as to who is more fit to be the president of the United States. And I think her response in pointing out that key Republicans, people in his own cabinet, have said that he is not fit. And I'm a bit disappointed that what I saw, and this is not to disparage Bret Baier, because I've interviewed him too, and I know him well, and he's one of our colleagues, of course, in journalism. He was a little bit dismissive. I think it's of that fact. I think it's very important when you have your own former vice president not endorse you.
Sonny criticizing misinformation is ironic. Kamala dodged the facts, filibustered like crazy, ran out the clock, and looked extremely stressed. The media is painting her as a victim, but Bret could have pushed twice as hard if he chose to. Meanwhile, Trump handles these types of interviews all the time. No one ever comes to his rescue to say, hey, they're asking tough questions or the interviews are too tough. No one ever does that.
Strategy from Harris was a Google strategy. She wanted Fox viewers to start to Google some of the things she was saying, because some of the comments she was making in this interview are foreign to the Fox audience. For example, General Mark Milley saying Trump is a fascist to the core. That's barely been covered on Fox News. So she was able to get some of those talking points in. This was the most adversarial interview Kamala Harris has probably ever done. Instead of getting to debate Trump again, she got to debate Bret Baier. And a lot of viewers are going to come away saying, wow, she's willing to do that. That's a sign of toughness and strength.
These people are delusional. These people are completely out of touch, man. Why can't they just admit Kamala bombed the daggone interview? Everyone saw it. She's not presidential material. She did not look presidential sitting there in that seat. Strong leaders don't constantly blame other people. And Stelter, he's just saying whatever it takes to make him, fit in or whatever. But his comments just make him look ridiculous. They had to cut the interview short because Kamala was struggling so badly. So much for being tough. Really?
And the kicker in football, they call a timeout right before he's going to kick the field goal. They're icing the kicker. So we were supposed to start at 5 p.m. This was the time they gave us. Originally, we were going to do 25 or 30 minutes. They came in and said, well, maybe 20. So it was already getting whittled down. And then the vice president showed up about 5:15. We were pushing the envelope to be able to turn it around for the top of the 6 o'clock. So that's how it started. And I could tell when we started talking that she was going to be tough to redirect without me trying to interrupt. I did this with President Obama. At one point, I just said, Mr. President, I know you like the filibuster. I just didn't even have the chance to sometimes redirect in those ways. I had a lot of other questions.
Trump did 2 hours with Bloomberg, and Kamala couldn't even handle 15 minutes on Fox with Bret Baier. Cutting time and dodging questions doesn't look good, especially when people expect transparency. This is why people are waking up. They can see through the media's game. Kamala didn't face any gotcha questions, just basic policy stuff, and still struggled. Yet the media is spinning it as a win, as a victory, making excuses like she took the high road. But anyone who watched knows that she was dodging and on the ropes. But let me know what you guys think. Is the media covering for her? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. Consider joining the ARP family. It supports me to team the channel. It gives us the ability to do what we do on a day-to-day basis. Keep God first in your life. Stay prayed up. And we'll catch up with you all next time. Peace.